I went to. So, this is full circle for me to be here as a governor. And I went there and I learned about, events management, business management, music management, the things that I was interested at the time in. And just continued that journey and kept on that path and started an entertainment business and was really starting to thrive, really starting to find myself on my feet, find that sense of pride. And then one day at the age of 21, I completely forgot how far I'd come. I'd kind of slipped back into old habits, because that can happen sometimes. And especially, when we're talking about kind of navigating difficult seasons, I wasn't really in a difficult season. Things were pretty well for me. They're pretty good, shall I say. And one day I was promoting an event and I went out and someone was arguing, and instead of me kind of minding my own business, like in school, I used to kind of get involved in people's arguments and run over to the center and try and be the person, hyping up things. And I did, and I ended up getting stabbed 7 times. And in that process, in the ambulance, I wasn't in a good way, to be honest. I was in and out of consciousness, and I was on the way to the hospital in the ambulance. And I remember having this very surreal conversation with God and saying, Father, I've been going to church all my life, and this is the time where this is me and you. This is our connection. This is not religion. This is relationship now, and I'm not ready to die. And I said, if you give me another chance, Lord, I will live my life for you, and I'll steer young people away from darkness. And prior to that, the best way I can describe it is when you're watching TV at night and you're kind of drifting in and out of sleep, and your eyes are very heavy, and that's all I can describe it as. I was just so tired. And as soon as I said amen, I had this rush of energy up my body, and it was like an electric shock. And I literally just remember waking up and remember the whole journey to the hospital. And everywhere, when I got to the hospital, they said, everywhere you've been stabbed, Mr. Simpson, you should be dead or disabled. But it's a miracle. Everywhere they've stabbed you, I got stabbed in my head, in my chest, all over these vital areas. I shouldn't be here. And he said, it's a miracle. They've missed everything by millimeters, and you can go home tomorrow. And the other story that I don't always get to tell because of time is that the reason I know I was meant to be here for a purpose is because a couple of years before, my mum was shopping in the shopping city, and we hadn't had the best relationship growing up because of my behavior. And she heard the Holy Spirit say, you know what, buy this coat for your son. And in the process of kind of saying, no, I don't want to do it, I think my mum just followed that obedient voice and bought me the coat. It was like a body warmer. And she brought it home for me. And essentially that's the coat a few years later that saved my life. Because if I wasn't wearing that coat, it would have been, a direct kind of impact from a lot of the stab wounds. And actually the police said that I got stabbed about 25 times, but my jacket had absorbed all of it. So, I dedicate my life to the Lord, because essentially that the reason I'm here now is not because of my own merit. It's to do something, it's to serve a purpose, it's to do everything that I promised, which is to steer young people away from darkness. And, life is all about kind of overcoming these things. We're always going to deal with issues. There's always going to be something that we have to overcome, but it's how do you learn from those things? And in those moments, can you draw closer to God and increase your faith? So I created a short film. I'm summarizing heavily, as you can imagine. There's a lot of information about me online. So feel free to, check out some of the things that I've done online. Quite a few articles I've done that go into a lot more detail than I'm giving today. But after getting stabbed, I suffered with mental health issues, depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress, just really low self-esteem. I didn't really feel good about myself. And so I started a business, which again is a story in itself, but essentially it was a survival mechanism. And I rebuilt myself through enterprise. I rebuilt myself through putting myself into situations that were uncomfortable. And it's not for everybody. I didn't really have many people to talk to at the time, other than my girlfriend and maybe a couple of friends. But, I kind of just I think probably got closer to God and just built that resilience. But again, that's not everybody's story. Some people really need to go through that therapeutic process to stand tall again. So please make sure you do what's good for you. But in that process, as I said, entrepreneurship really helped me to build my confidence and my and build opportunities and to network, etc. And I did well. I generated millions of pounds for my clients, and it was really about excellence, similar to what my grandparents and my parents had taught me, and it opened so many doors for me. But the reason I have this picture up with a poster of a film is because I realized that that's not what I promised in the ambulance. I didn't promise God that I was going to just make rich people rich. I promised that I would enrich people that weren't rich previously and help them to live a life of purpose. And that, for me, was always going to be my calling, whether or not I wanted to do it at the time, because I was making money and all that kind of stuff. But I was obedient, and in that obedience, doors opened. As you'll hear later on in my story, other moments of obedience have continued to bless me and bless others. And yeah, I met someone that became a brother, a friend of mine, and he's also a Hollywood actor. And we discussed doing a short film called Amani, which is on YouTube if you'd like to watch it. And it just basically tells my story. So it was a life-changing experience for me to tell my story, because actually it was quite therapeutic. I had to go through a therapy process of writing down my story, my perspective, and make sure that the way I was describing my experience wasn't angry and not blaming other people. It was taking ownership. And in that process, I released a film that is going to probably go down in history as a moment of impact for quite a few people, because it just showed a perspective of knife crime in the UK that had probably never really been shown in that way before. And from a creative perspective, it was a prayer. It was my prayer in the ambulance, and I don't want to ruin it for anybody that's going to watch it, but it was my prayer, and I think it really impacted people to the point where when it was released in 2019, we had 1 million views in 4 days. It literally blew up online. It went viral all over the UK, and I think probably certain parts of other countries as well. And again, it's a blessing, because there's a whole story behind how that happened. And we've since had 3.5 million views on that film. And as I said, this is not to glorify me. This is to glorify God, because I'm not here because of my own strength. I've done things and I've done what I need to do. But my saying in life is pray like it's up to God and work like it's up to you, which is similar to the faith without works scripture. But for me, that kind of pray like it's up to God, work like it's up to you mentality means that you have to pray hard. You have to pray hard. It's always up to God. God's going to open those doors. But without you putting that work into, to do what you need to do with the hands, the skills, the perspective, the influence, whatever, things aren't going to happen. And now, a few years later, it's taken me on a journey where I've done a lot of different things in the UK, a lot of things for young people. And recently this year, I was honored to be awarded as the recipient of the Governor General's Diaspora Award for Excellence in the UK. And yeah, it's a blessing. I got to meet the High Commissioner for Jamaica, and I got to take my dad there. And someone asked me the other day, what's the proudest thing that I've done in my journey so far? And I think it's definitely changing the narrative within my household. People used to see me as the bad child, the one that was a disappointment, always kind of getting in trouble. And now whenever I talk to my family, it's good news, it's positive things, progress, and they can be proud of me. So I'm proud of myself. I know they're proud of me. And I just wanted to give some context before I talk about, mental health during COVID, because essentially the coronavirus, it just spun everybody, didn't it? It just completely just at home, just, you've seen this thing happening all the way in the Far East, and you're thinking that's never going to affect us. And then within maybe 2 or 3 weeks, just things are getting locked down, especially in the UK. I'm not 100% sure what it was like in Jamaica, but just suddenly, just things started to happen. This thing was cancelled. People are starting to get a little bit scared of going out. And the way that I operate my business and I guess my career is I do a lot of public speaking in person. So because of COVID, you obviously can't meet in person. All these events are being cancelled. So for a period of time, I wasn't able to go and talk to anyone. I wasn't able to go and meet anyone. It was very much kind of up in the air and uncertain. And the fact that talking and engaging and going to schools and going to events was like my main kind of income source meant that a lot of different difficulties were placed on me and my household. And that's not a place where you can operate it's not a peaceful place, shall I say. It really started to affect my mental health, really did, because I'm so used to being able to provide and being able to, have a certain lifestyle, especially during some of the previous seasons. I'd had good months, to be honest, it'd been a good time at times. But this, I'd never experienced anything like this. And I thought about quitting. I thought about going and doing like a delivery driver job, etc., just to keep the bills going. And also, I say the bills going, bills don't stop, direct debits don't miss, as they say. But to definitely keep the lights on, shall I say. And also at the same time, I turned 30, and I actually turned 30 the same week that lockdown was announced in the UK. And I had this big birthday kind of planned, and all my friends, this outfit, I was ready to go out and, just have a good time. But all of these things were out of the window. And to be honest, again, 30 is a milestone. Anyone that's about to turn 30 or has turned 30 will know that when you hit 30, it's kind of like that marker of how well have I done in my 20s. And I think in the short term, I was really quite disappointed that I maybe wasn't exactly where I wanted to be. But the 30th year of my life was probably one of the best years of my life, because although it was in crisis, I learned so much about myself and I didn't give up. And, I'm really, really grateful for that. And so the first lesson I'd like to give you today, if anyone's taking notes, is to listen to your inner voice. And I say that because when it first happened, as much as I wanted to give up, there was also another voice that was kind of external at times, right? It was like kind of looking at the pressures and thinking, should I give up? Should I do this? But when I listened to that inner voice, I still believed in myself deep down. And I think we have to really try and tune our frequency, tune our mind to listen to that inner voice, that voice that encourages self-belief, that encourages progress, and also get mentors around you that can help amplify that inner voice. So my manager, Diane, we were talking and she could hear how down I was. And she just gave me a word of encouragement that really just helped me to stay on the right path and not to give up. She said, during this time, people are going to focus on people, or people are going to remember people that serve. And that's one of my principles, one of my principles of, just serving people, that servant leadership attitude. And I've been blessed with a network of young people in the UK, or access to young people. And so because of that, it's, I kind of take a responsibility. And in the UK, and I don't know what it was like in Jamaica, but there was a lot of people that were talking on behalf of young people. Lockdown's going to affect young people in this way. They're going to be affected with their education and all of these things. And, it was quite negative, to be honest. And I'm always about trying to change that narrative. So I decided to use my platform and to, create a campaign. And the campaign I created was one called Our Lockdown. And the reason it was called Our Lockdown is because it was all about, really reframing the conversation about lockdown. We've heard on the news about how devastating COVID-19 had been for quite a few people. And it was very important to have that conversation. But I wanted to offer a different perspective. So I created a campaign where I basically got role models and young people together to talk about how lockdown was affecting them positively. Gave them an opportunity to talk about, I think it was maybe 7 or 8 questions, like what had made you smile during lockdown. And when I created that campaign, I had no idea where it would take me, but I'm going to play the video on the basis that I hope that this works. If it doesn't, someone please message me and tell me that it's not working, because I'm assuming that it is. But if it's not working for whatever reason, then I'm happy to share the links. It's all on my website that I gave you earlier. So video is about 2 minutes, and I hope it gives you a smile.
Hi everyone, I'm Amani Project. I'm 11 years old and I'm the founder and CEO of my own company called Dissemination. And I'm the youngest award-winning vegan chef in the UK and the youngest restaurateur in the world. The one thing that has made me smile during lockdown is that I get to spend more time with my family and play board games, especially snakes and ladders, because majority of the time I'm winning.
Hi, my name is Femi Oyeniran. The one thing that I won't take for granted after this lockdown is the fact that health is wealth. We have to do what we can to stay in the best possible shape.
Hey guys, I'm Tamara, I'm 14, and one thing that makes me smile during lockdown is spending time with my family and enjoying the sun.
Hi, my name's Caleb and I'm 12 years old. One thing I've learned is that I'm capable of doing stuff that I never thought I was capable of doing. Like cooking, building stuff, like being creative.
My name's Mario Senso, I'm 16 years old. One thing I feel that's put a smile on my face during quarantine is the fact that I'm being able to spend more time with my family and my siblings, getting to see them, getting to know them more, getting to spend more time with them.
The thing that's made me most smile in lockdown is baking with my family, learning how to cook new meals and doing lots of dance lessons online with the company that I dance with, Boy Blue. And that's really taken my mind off that I can't go outside.
Hey, my name's Akir, and one thing that I'd like to see change post-lockdown is the sense of community. And I feel as if everybody in their houses and people not allowed to be social has enabled us to really deeply appreciate what we had prior, which was unlimited access to people. And I hope that this division really does help us get back to the fact that we are a community, no matter with race, gender, religion, anything. As long as you're human, it's okay. So I just want that greater sense of community to be established and reinstated, if you will.
Just remember, guys, to stay safe, stay humble, be yourself, and your flaws make you unique. Bye!
So I hope that worked. Did that all work okay? If it didn't, it's too late now. But yeah, you can go on the AVR website. The link is still there at the bottom, or attached the video. So yeah, please check it out. There's about 15 videos that we created. Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Amani McQueen. Hi everyone, I'm Amani McQueen.
So when the video was, when the campaign happened, to be honest, it gave me momentum because it gave me something to work towards. I think previously I'd maybe got a little bit stagnant, and I think sometimes when we're going through crisis, it's very easy to get stagnant and feel quite, just you feel lost. You feel like there's no point in moving forward, and you can sometimes just get in your feelings. But by doing something and being productive, I think it builds momentum, or not. I think it definitely builds momentum. And so, as you can read there, we had 80 video submissions over, and we put those videos within 15 videos, if that makes sense. So those 15 videos with a mixture of about 80 videos in between all of them, and it was amazing. We had approximately 42,000 views on social media, which again, huge blessing, huge reach in the scheme of something that started in my head. We also provided thousands of smiles during lockdown, which to me was the biggest impact that I wanted to have. I wanted to just lift people's spirits and give some hope. And also we reached up to 1 million viewers when we were featured on the Channel 5 News over here in the UK. So yeah, and off the back of that, because again, you build momentum, there was a conversation with my management team where even though things were not, I'd say, exactly how I'd like them to have been at the time, young people were starting to reach out to me, and they were giving me hope and encouraging me. And so equally, I was getting, this kind of benefit from service. It wasn't just one way, although I wasn't looking for that. And my manager said to me, why don't you kind of pitch an idea to the Mayor of London's office? And I did. I had this idea, and I thought, let me kind of present it to the Mayor of London and see how he and his team liked it. And I did. And it was an idea that was meant to empower young people and basically help them to, as they were going back into school, kind of, again, have hope, keep their head up, keep moving in the right direction. And that campaign was called You've Got This. Now, You've Got This was all about motivation. It was a motivation campaign. It was something that I felt like I needed to hear, what I would have wanted to hear after such a kind of turbulent time. And so again, I've got a video for you to watch, because I think it's important, rather than me just talking, that you can speaking about it. You can hear or you can experience it for yourself, shall I say.
You've got this. Jump out of bed, feet hit the floor. What's good for today? I can't let all control be ripped away or get stuck on Groundhog Day. You've got this. Jump out of bed, feet hit the floor. What's good for today? I can't let all control be ripped away or get stuck on Groundhog Day. You've got this. I'm gonna keep moving and pushing, even though life's pressed pause. My phone playing questions on repeat. Will I find a job? What about an apprenticeship? Where will my grades even take me? You've got this. Eyes open to my reflection. Now's the time to reinvest in me. Rediscover my passions, reflect on my flaws, reskill and retrain, cause the game has changed. You've got this. Slow down as the day winds down. I've burnt too many candles feeling guilty about quality time just for me. Make time to reconnect too. With family and friends, connections I took for granted and definitely won't again. I'll bind them strong, laugh louder, play harder, hug tighter than before. You've got this. Look at the stars. We'll rise and shine like them, keep uniting for change. That's real change. Injustice can't tear us apart. Smiling more. Set to promote those positives. Start that business. Lean into our go-getter grit. We've faced lockdown. We've found our voice. We're stronger together. Best believe we got this.
So I'm hoping you can all see me okay still. When that video was released, we, again, I say, just glory to God, because even as I reflect, I remember the struggles of that time. And it's easy for me to talk in hindsight because I'm no longer there. And I guess my encouragement to everyone that might be going through something right now is that one day you're not going to be in the same place that you are now. You will have moved forward. So just keep moving, keep your head up, keep praying, keep doing the work that you need to do. And as you'll see later on, keep talking about it. So that video was a milestone for me because, I created a video and released it with the Mayor of London, which is a massive accolade. And at the same time, there was I don't want to say bittersweet. I don't think that's fair. It was almost like, I'm sorry that I have to create this video because young people are going to be obviously going through a lot, and that video was meant to uplift them. But at the same time, it was sweet to know that I created moments like this where a young person can see himself on the Olympic Stadium in London. So here's a little reaction video.
Big West Ham, yeah.
So you can hear in that reaction that there's a real excitement, there's a real pride that he gets from doing that. And that to me goes on to the point and really feeds into the point I want to make about trusting the process. Some of you right now might be feeling like, man, like, why is this, why is this happening to me? Why do I feel this way? I haven't, why are things not recovered yet? But yeah, just really encouraging you to trust the process. There's always lessons in everything. There's always a silver lining on every cloud, they say. And I guess even through the pain and the struggle, and one of my mentors always tells me to never waste a good crisis, because a crisis is where you learn, right? So even in all of that, I didn't give up, and I kept pushing, and I worked super hard to build myself, to develop, to work on projects that would give young people a voice and give them hope. And that paid dividends to me, where I got to do what I love. I don't feel like this is work when I work with young people. I feel like it's just part of my purpose. I would do it for free. If I didn't have bills to pay, I'd do it for free every single day, right? Because that feeling of working with young people and helping them to elevate and feel better about themselves is a priceless feeling. And I was blessed to be asked to write and direct a film. It's the first film I've ever written during that time, or just in life. My local council, or the borough, the Enfield, anyone that has ever been to the Enfield Council in North London, they said, "Oh, Amani, we've seen your short film. We'd love you to write a film that we can use for training." So I've recently just completed on a film where, you know, an idea that was in my head, a concept, a story that was in my head that I've written and directed, is going to be played in all of the schools in this borough. I don't know how many schools there are in this borough. And also we will then release it nationally. And I never would have told you that that was going to happen last year. Never. In a million years, I never would have said that that was going to be how I felt now. And knowing that as I enter into 2022, you know, that I'm now a director. I'm now officially a director. I went and I without name dropping, because I don't like being that person, I met Mr. Idris Elba the other day, and I was talking to him about just, you know, thank you for what he did. And he said, "Well, what do you do?" And I said, "I'm a director." And just even saying that, instead of just saying, "Oh, you know, I'm part of the production team or an actor," which is equally very, very good roles, there was a level of respect and doors that I know will be opened by God's grace because I've stepped into this director role, because it's fully in line with the idea of being a visionary and owning a story and kind of helping that story to come to life. So I'm really grateful that I've been given that blessing to be able to do that. And also during lockdown, one of the other blessings, probably blessing is like maybe one of the buzzwords I've used today, if you haven't noticed, because God's just blessed me this year. And even through the darkness, there's been light and again, encouragement. There will be light in it. If you look for it and you keep close to God and you keep moving forward, light will be at the end of the tunnel. And I was approached, I was introduced actually to Goldman Sachs. I already knew Hogan Lovells, the law firm. Anyone that doesn't know, Goldman Sachs is one of the top banks in the world, and Hogan Lovells is one of the top law firms. And when the murder of George Floyd happened over in America, as you can imagine, a lot of different companies and individuals are starting to reflect on their practices. And it just so happened that I was within the conversation around that, and someone said, "Oh, you know, you need to meet Amani, who's doing great work." And so I now have a project about to be launched with Goldman Sachs and Hogan Lovells, which they're calling the Amani Project, which is essentially based off my story, but also my name, which means peace in Swahili, strength in Ugandan, Kiga Ugandan, and also aspiration in Arabic. And so it's the Amani Project, which is meant to, or due to, give peace, strength, and aspiration to young people that are deserving of a second chance. You know, young people like myself that may be a little bit lost, maybe suffering a little bit with their mental health, and giving them mentors and opportunity and employability skills in order to help them to level up. Because again, during this time, as I'm sure it is over there in Jamaica, a lot of industries have changed. There's a big need for employment. There's a big need for young people to upskill and to feel confident and to go forward. And that's what I mean when I say, you know, it's about trying to navigate through crisis or through difficult seasons. You know, it's going to take a community approach. My short film's tagline is, "It takes a village to raise a child and a community to raise a generation." So I'm hoping that there's a community that is listening to this, wherever you're listening from, that is willing to take up that call and to join together with other people around the world that want to help young people, because we can't do this solo. And I always say, if your mind can go there, your feet will follow. You know, at the beginning of this journey, I had no idea that I was going to be here, but I knew I wasn't going to be where I was at that point. I knew I was going to be moving forward. And so when I started to put things in place and put things on paper and start to visualize and to kind of, you know, create goals and stuff like that, it kept me future focused instead of staying in that moment. And I think that's an important trait to have, especially when you're going through a difficult time. It's important to keep your mind in the future, keep your mind on God, keep your mind on positive things. And eventually your feet will follow, your body will catch up with you. If you keep in that environment, if you keep on that kind of positive mental track in that sense. And finally, I really want to end on this point. I just want to encourage you to keep talking. You know, this journey sometimes can feel very isolated, but it's even more isolated if you don't talk to people about how you feel. And growing up, especially being a young Black man in London, I don't know the perspective of you know, those growing up in Jamaica. I'd love to come out and meet some of you guys at some point, but we don't talk about our feelings. And sometimes that's really because our parents never spoke to us about it. Sometimes our parents can be quite hard on us, or, you know, because their parents were hard on them and their parents were hard on them. So it's a generational thing, right? But yeah, I'm an ambassador for young people to keep talking about their feelings where possible, talk to loved ones, talk to teachers, talk to those that are willing to support. And by doing that, what you do is you begin to free yourself of this burden. You really begin to move away from that kind of sunken place, that sullen place where you're just like, nothing's possible. Because if you're trying to carry this weight on your own, life is difficult as it is. And with the added kind of pressure of the coronavirus, I'm hoping that you learn the power of talking about your feelings. That goes to adults, that goes to children. You have to talk about it, because we shouldn't be trying to suffer alone, or we shouldn't be suffering alone. We're not, God hasn't made it this way. We're meant to carry each other's burdens and support each other and ask key questions as well. If you've got a friend that's struggling, please reach out to them. Please talk to them. Please, you know, keep praying for them. Just check in on them, drop them a message, a WhatsApp, go and knock on their door, give them a hard-o bread, whatever's necessary. Just be with them, journey with them, and just keep talking, letting them know that I'm here with you. And through my story, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm still here now, because over the years, I've had people to talk to, whether it's been my mentors, whether it's been my wife, whether it's been my friends, I've even therapy. I did therapy this year for the first time. I kept feeling certain things, and I said, you know what, let me go and do therapy. Nothing wrong with therapy, you know, absolutely nothing wrong with it. I strongly advise, if you have access to that, to jump on a therapeutic path, because it's like having all of these skeletons in your closet. At some point, it's going to become overwhelming and almost like kind of expand your closet, right? You've got to take these things out of your closet and put them on the bed and say, I don't need that anymore. Don't need that anymore. And heal from these things. It will enable you when you become a parent, or, you know, wherever you're going to be in your life next, it will enable you to level up properly. So I wanted to give you guys some value. These are some of the books that have helped me, especially The Purpose-Driven Life. It's a really powerful book. Some of these speakers have really, really helped me. If you're into business, books like Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter have helped me. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Compound Effect. Some of these mentors, Dr. Miles Monroe, Oprah Winfrey, Eric Thomas, Think and Grow Rich, all of these things, I put these on here for a reason. I'm hoping that people at home have got your phones out and you're snapping them and you're going to go and research them, because it's important not to think that you're alone, as I said. And there's some people in this life, yes, we've got the Bible and the word of God is eternal, it's going to be there forever. But there's also people that are inspired by God and have gone through different situations to give another perspective and are able to come through and give us wisdom as well. So please tap into that wisdom. Don't just use your phone to check social media. You know, your phone has got more power. They say there's more power in your mobile phone than it took to take the first man to the moon. That's a powerful thing, right? We've got information. Generations before never had that. We've got access to support systems. We've got access to, a lot of things that can help us to move forward. And when you're starting to use all of these things, it becomes beneficial to your journey of peace. So finally, I just want to encourage you, especially if you're a young person right now, this is what we call a life clock. And the reason we call it a life clock is because they say on average, human beings are going to live to the age of 77. Now, in Jesus' name, I pray all of you live much longer than that, right? Especially in Jamaica, you guys have got like direct sunlight over here in the UK. We don't really have that over here. It's kind of cold over here, I can't lie. But over there in Jamaica, I'm praying that you guys, you're able to live long, that you don't die prematurely. But what you do have promised right now is this moment. Tomorrow's not promised. The next minute's not promised. Next week we make plans, it's not promised. So try and make the most of this moment. And if at this moment you're feeling like, you know what, actually something that I've said or something that you've heard in the last couple of days is causing you to want to do something different, act on that, because that feeling can change. And it's important to keep up with a commitment that you make to yourself. Make that commitment, stay strong to it. And also the reason why this life clock is important, because they say life happens in 7-year cycles. And those 7-year cycles, a lot can happen. So you may be in between the cycle of 14 to 21 right now, or even 21 to 28. And you may be thinking, man, life is hard. But if you slowly make good choices and slowly, help to heal yourself, or do what you need to do to heal yourself. If you're looking on average how many years you've got on this earth, you've got a lot of time left on this earth. Try not to make short-term choices that will affect you long-term, other than things that are gonna move. Well, I say you've got to be making, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Let me not even kind of long it out. It's a marathon, not a sprint. A lot of people, when they're young, we sprint, we make silly mistakes. We do things not thinking about what the future can be, and we live quite, wild at times. But especially during times like this where things are really difficult and, you have to just take one step at a time. Just remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. Don't run too fast. Sometimes you trip over. Sometimes it can get long and you won't get back up at times. So just take your time, take it steady. And fundamentally, I appreciate you listening. This is a blessing for me. I'm hoping that something that I've said today has resonated with you. I'm hoping that I've planted a seed that God will water elsewhere, whether that's through your church, whether that's through your friends, your other speakers throughout this conference. And thank you for listening. I'm hoping that I get to come out there. I'm trying to bargain a little flight to come to Jamaica so I can come and visit some of the schools and youth groups. So thank you. Please stay in touch. Please follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, go on my website. And I'm here for any questions. But God bless, and all the best on your journeys, guys.
And answers, and this is your opportunity. I mean, I've been looking at your messages. I see that you guys loved his books. I saw someone say that Rich Dad Poor Dad was a book that opened your mind. I saw a person saying preach in the chat. Fantastic presentation. Amani, can you hear me?
I can. Hey.
All right. First of all, absolutely powerful. This is why I believe in the importance of naming, speaking over your children and giving them names that are absolutely powerful. And you just kind of explaining to us the meaning, the definition of your name. It is no wonder that you are doing the things that you do. Have you looked at that? Have you looked at your name and the definition and what it meant to you then versus what it means to you now?
Yeah, so I didn't, when I was younger, I tried to change my name to Armani, like Giorgio Armani, right? And my mom and dad named me Peace and Aspiration and Strength. And I didn't really stand in the calling that they'd given me, to be honest. And so, I now know. But when I was younger, I probably did everything in my power, inadvertently, not even meaning to at times, to walk away from that. So my street name, my tag name, my street name, everything was Havoc. So that's the polar opposite of peace, right? So,
correct.
if your family have named you something, please find out what your name means and try and live in that. It will steer you away from trouble.
No, absolutely. In fact, what you just said was even profound, even in its simplest form, where you said you wanted to change your name, you wanted to be like something else or someone else or another brand. And yet still when you claimed your own power, you claimed your own authenticity, you claimed what your name meant, that is when everything really started to work out for you.
100%. 100%. And I always say to young people, when I meet these celebrities or people that they like me for me. I don't have to pretend. When I was in school, I used to wear a mask every day and try and, fit in and try and be like other people. But anytime you forget and want to try and be like other people, just remember that your fingerprint is unique. There's never, ever going to be another person in the world that has the same fingerprint as you. So why be like anybody else? You've been made unique. God's given you a purpose. So yeah, that's what helped me. And the more I walk in that purpose, the more I thrive by God's grace.
No, absolutely. And I love it. And I love the fact that God is your center. You speak about him and his works and what he has done for you unapologetically. We appreciate that. I was actually just in Birmingham, London, and Brixton like a week ago.
Yeah.
I got good weather. And then it started to get a little bit chippy, and I said, no, I need to come back home to Jamaica. But big up to Clarendon. We heard you speak about Clarendon. You spoke about having a family of excellence, in spite of the circumstances. Your mother, your father, your granddad, these were all points of references of excellence for you that now you can stand as a youth coach, as a director, as a social entrepreneur, and as a Governor General recipient. So I have questions, and I'm sure, by the way, somebody just said big up Clarendon massive in the chat. If you guys have any questions, there's so many. Okay, so I'm gonna leave my questions and I'm gonna go to the questions from some of our persons there. Twitter from Abe Simmons. Your question for Amani is, there are a lot of young people who share the experiences of Mr. Amani Simpson right here in Jamaica. What would your message be to someone who feels hopeless and are even more vulnerable because of the restrictions of COVID? So you are speaking about finding your inner voice. And one of my questions, which I think ties into what Abe is asking, is not everyone is in a position to always understand their voice, hear their voice, develop their voice, interpret all of these things while listening to this noise that is happening on the outside. So how do you tell someone who hasn't yet understood even the strength and power of their inner voice?
Wow, what a great question. Fundamentally, there are local organizations and services that are set up to empower and support young people. I think in the first instance, when a young person is having that self-reflection in their bedroom, it's about doing what they can to meet these services and these providers halfway. Because it starts with a thought, right? Maybe something I've said today or something we heard in church or wherever. It starts and you have to build on that, and you can't do it in isolation. Yes, I've given you a motivational speech today, but you're going to go back to your situation after. And my encouragement is that locally, I'm sure there's people, I pray there's people that are willing to help you, that are willing to step in and journey with you and help you and hold your hand. So I think it's important not to try and do things alone. Back to my last point about speaking things out. There's always a time where you have to talk it out and not just hold it in, and just talk to the right person, and hopefully someone that's able to point you in the right direction and give you the support that's needed, if that answers your question.
No, Amani, you mentioned something, in terms of there should be organizations and policies and programs and, some formal way that our youngsters have this access. And don't get me wrong, there is, I think, there are different agencies that have different ways and channels that persons can call. And but when it comes to reality, and you spoke about it, it starts with talking about your issues, but there's so much stigma that is still attached to talking. There are so many family members who make youngsters and youth feel guilty because whatever they say brings shame on the family. You have youngsters who know that they need help, but if they seek it, they're gonna look like they're weak fences, as we'd say in Jamaica. They're going to look like them not no sense. They're going to look like they're mad. This is so layered. So how do we get that person to even start talking? And how do we even get them to start talking to the right people who won't betray them and who won't tell them that what they're feeling is invalid?
Wow, what a powerful question. And thank you even for giving me an insight into what it's like in Jamaica, because again, I speak from the perspective of the UK that has lots of statutory agencies that are helping young people. So I come in ignorance. I assume that that's how it is across the world. But yeah, you're completely right.
Understandably,
it's completely different perspective in Jamaica. So yeah, from that perspective, it really is about role modeling. There's a couple of layers. So what would I say? I'd say role modeling is important, but that starts from the leadership. That starts from whether it's the parents, whether it's the the ministers, whether it's the people in leadership in the governments and stuff. You need to be able to show as you would like people to behave. You need to be able to do it yourself, right? I think that is a big societal question. That's a big issue that we need to address when it comes to trying to create the environment for society on a whole to feel more comfortable to talk about things. During lockdown over here, mental health especially was put at the forefront. And so now there's loads of initiative about mental health that maybe wouldn't have been there previous to the COVID pandemic. So I'm hoping that even in your in Jamaica, I'm about to say your country, like it's not my country. Even in Jamaica, I'm hoping that this pandemic really changes the way that we see mental health, because loneliness and isolation is something that everybody across the island is going to be feeling from time to time, and so that's going to affect that's classless, that's ageless, that's everybody. And so I think if we can build collectively from this point and say, do you know what, actually we can't do what we did before, because now people that were previously not talking it out are now talking and saying, well, we've actually suffered a lot from COVID, but before that we were suffering. Hopefully it begins to change the culture. Right. And then once young people see the adults doing that, I think it may take a bit of time, maybe a generational thing, but slowly it will start to trickle down and become more, especially for the generation that they will be parents to. If we can show young people now that are going to be parents, I think in generations to come, it will become more of a normalized conversation. But it's definitely not something that can be taken lightly. It's definitely a society approach, for sure.
No, absolutely. And I agree with you. It's absolutely cultural. It's absolutely societal. It's how do we reframe? How do we create infrastructure that can support all of these issues? Because even the parents, as you rightfully said earlier, it's generational. And so you find that there's some parents who are just on survival mode, and they're not even thinking or even understanding what being a role model is, because they didn't have it themselves. Okay. They just know they have to survive, they have to feed the picnic, they have to pay the bills, and they don't have no time to figure it out. So you are right. We need more structure, more policy that creates support for parents as well, as much as we need it for the youngsters. Now, you were giving us a part of your story, how you switched. You decided you want to be a rude boy, bad boy, you want to do your own thing. You see, you're nearly dead, 25 stabs. And you said that you heard the Holy Spirit. You heard that voice that said, yo, this is just not going to be it for you. If you continue, you're either going to go prison or you're going dead, which is a reality for many of our youngsters, especially our males in Jamaica. Now, you spoke about rebuilding, tuning your frequency, putting things into place. I think this is where it gets very fuzzy for youngsters. They want to know, how do you just get up one day and say, all right, I'm going to leave this kind of lifestyle, all the negativity, maybe my community where I'm accustomed to seeing certain things. How do I basically navigate and start rebuilding? Do you want to give them just even 3 pointers? I know you spoke about listening to your inner voice, taking the steps, dreaming it, writing it down on paper. But for persons who may need a little bit more than that, what other steps and tips do you advise?
I would say that first and foremost, you have to make a decision. Nothing's going to change unless you make that decision, unless you decide that your future is going to be different, regardless of whatever your family story is, regardless of what you've seen around you. You have to decide that the next chapter is not written and you're going to write it differently, right? And then I think once you've made that decision, a lot of the time it boils down to the sacrifices that you make on a day-to-day basis. So that might mean that actually, I've got to go and stay with my aunt that lives on the other side of the island because it's in the middle of nowhere, right? Just for a period of time to get myself out of that situation. And obviously that's easier said than done, but that isolation especially when you're trying to build new habits, is very, very important, because we're all creatures of habits. Yes. It's all about behavior. And, you know, at the beginning, I'll give you a good analogy, right? So when you're in the playground, you have the merry-go-round, right? At the beginning, when you're trying to push this merry-go-round, it's really, really difficult to push. You've got to get a lot of force into it, a lot of energy. Then after a while, you build momentum and it's just going without you having to do anything. And it's the same thing with behavior. At the beginning, it was probably very difficult for you to get into that kind of behavior pattern, into those habits. But now it's automatic. You haven't got to think about going and bunning it down or talking to the man them or whatever. You don't have to think about it. It's automatic. So in order to change that, you've got to slow down that momentum and then try and build up a positive momentum in another way, which is one of the reasons I gave that book, The Compound Effect, because it talks about the power of momentum and how the small, seemingly unimportant things that we do every day will have big outcomes for us. So I think a young person fundamentally you have to just make a decision on where you want your life to end up. And that can sometimes it comes through crisis. Sometimes it might be once you've had a mad situation that you're dealing with and, you know, it's dark. But trust me, it's at that point, that's the tipping point. Once you've done that, you make the commitment, you learn to say no, you start to work on the habits, you move away from these situations as much as possible. And slowly you'll start to see that you build momentum in other things. And fundamentally, you've got to find something to keep yourself occupied, because it's very easy for us to say, put down the knives and put down the guns and put down the drugs. But if someone doesn't give you something else in your hands are empty and you go straight back to the same thing. So you have to find something else that's positive to keep your focus on it. The amount of stories that we have of people that have gone on to be athletes or business owners or whatever it is, because they picked up something, a tool, a trade, whatever, and they kept going, they kept up momentum with that. So that's my message. I know there's probably 3 or 4 points in there, but hopefully that made sense.
No, I appreciate. No, man, it does, and it does start with responsibility along with the support. So we are talking about the different layers, and so many people loved your presentation that I think I have a gazillion questions. So I'm gonna get to the next one. A question from Kyle on Twitter says or asks, as youth leaders, our mental health is very important and it still remains a taboo topic. What innovative ways, and I suppose as a storyteller, you showed how well you tell your stories. You know, what innovative ways can we bring about awareness to mental health and its importance?
Yeah, definitely as a story. I can only talk from the perspectives that I've used. I think content is very, very important. If you're using the national platforms that you've got there, similar platforms like this, and you're getting messages out there about the importance of mental health, and you're getting ambassadors and, you know, people that young people look up to, role models. I'm under no illusion that the reason why my movie did so well is because I had a Hollywood actor attached to it. And I'm under no illusion that now when I go into school and I have, you know, a blue tick on Instagram and, you know, I've got a certain number of followers and achievements, that young people see that as success. So we have to leverage those things for positive. It's not about me being a celebrity or anything like that. It's all about making sure that you leverage these things for the value and the benefit of young people. So you have to use your links. You know, you can always have a positive kind of message that you want to give. But if it's packaged too nice, then you're going to, if I came through and I sounded, no disrespect to a lot of pastors in the world, right? But if I came through and sounded like every other pastor, my message would fall on deaf ears of the next generation. I've got to switch it up. I've got to be different, right? And at the same time, make sure that I'm still keeping to the same principles that I live by, but just remix it to make sure that the young people are engaging, right? So I think that's it. You've got to use those tools. We're a smart generation. We have social media. Don't make it look old. You have to make it look cool and you know, like something that they want to get involved in. Trust me, the amount of flyers and stuff that I've seen that just make it look like it's a local, you know, community thing, which is great. But young people don't engage with that stuff. There has to be an element of, you know, remarkability about what you're doing. Remarkable.
And relatability.
Yeah, relatability. Well. See, I'm sitting there creating words and stuff.
No, I hear you. But there's something that you mentioned. You mentioned about the blue tick. And I want to get into that because it is social currency. You know, as much as we want to tell young people, don't worry about the likes and don't worry about the number of followers, everything that they see on the different Yeah, big up Chronics, big up Chronics. Everything that they see these things as social currency. So what about those youths that have amazing ideas, but may be looking at their space going, but I only have 2 followers. I don't have no blue tick. Not enough people know me. How can I get this impact when all they're seeing is the more you have more followers, you do outrageous things, you go viral, you get endorsement deals. How do we balance the conversation for our youngsters who really want to make an impact, but the world is saying, well, you have to take off your clothes, you have to act crazy and go viral? How do they balance?
I think it's about collaboration for sure. Number one, it's about knowing your values and not sacrificing your values and staying true to that. If it means you've got to say no to that deal or you can't do that it's not worth it, is what I would say. But collaboration is important. You may know someone else that has a good amount of following, and you may be the more technical person or the person that wants to be behind the scene. All of these people that we look at have people behind the scenes that make them look good. That's what we have to remember. Everyone, like even now, we're on the TV. There's people behind the scenes in the production team that are making sure that everything's on point, that everything's being organized. So maybe you can get into the team of somebody and have an influence. Don't just think that, you have to be at the forefront. I think that's sometimes our issue. We all want to shine, but you have to carry the crown before you can wear the crown. And I've carried enough crowns in my life, right? For me to be the person that I am now, it's because I sat at people's feet and I asked questions and I just stayed in the back of the room and I saw how I wanted to be presented. So when I go into rooms where there's big celebrities and people that have big followings, I'm watching them because I assume that by the work and by God's grace, I will be in a similar position one day, but I can't take that lightly. There's that Spider-Man saying that with great power comes great responsibility, right? And so don't rush the process. Don't rush it. You have to carry the crown before you wear the crown. And everyone that we look at that has some kind of social currency needs someone in their team that is someone of substance, that is not a yes person, that can come through and enable their journey. Yes. So maybe you can go and add value to someone else and help change their narrative and give them a new perspective.
Ooh, I love that. Well, sometimes you have to carry the crown before you can wear the crown. And sometimes you have to sit at people's feet, be open, be humble to receive and to learn in order to grow and improve. I have another question. They soon run me and tell me, Terry, your time is up, but this conversation is just too good.
As I said, I'm ready to come to Jamaica, I'm ready. When you lot are ready, I'm coming. Trust me.
We need to get you here, man. We need to get you here, get you some Escovitch festival, some jerk chicken, take care of you. This person on Twitter, I am Livity, says, there are persons who believe that their stories are, I believe that's cliche, and as such, they feel lost. We've been telling people that, their stories are important, but there's some people who may feel, maybe it's too cliche, they feel lost. What would you say to those persons? Yeah, what would you say to those persons?
Everyone's story is unique. I'll go back to the point I made before about, the fingerprint. Everyone's story is unique. Everyone's perspective is unique. Just because the world hasn't accepted it doesn't make your story any less valuable, because it's your story, it's your perspective, it's your struggle. I feel like fundamentally, if your viewpoint or your goal is I want to be seen, I want to be noticed and stuff like that, I want to tell my story so people can see me, I don't think you're doing it for the right reason. I'm not saying that's why you're saying it, but just as an example, you're not doing it for the right reason. This is not easy to bare your soul to the world in a film, or to go to schools and tell your story about your mistakes. It's not an easy journey. It takes, a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of self-awareness. And so I would always say, fundamentally, you have to be strong as a person as much as possible. You have to own your own story, go and do the healing that you need to, therapy, whatever's necessary. And then if God calls you to tell your story, he'll call you to wherever it's needed. That could be just sitting on the bus with somebody and telling someone your testimony. You don't have to be at the center all the time. And that's why it's important not to come in with this, I'm searching for fame, I'm searching for money. All of those things come when you're living your purpose. Telling your story and all of these things. Say it again?
And stepping into your calling.
Yeah, and stepping into your calling, exactly. And, all of these blessings and finding your purpose, finding your lane, it doesn't feel like work. It doesn't, I don't feel like I'm trying to do things, I'm trying to achieve things, but fundamentally on a day-to-day basis, I'm being myself. And the more that I stay true to myself is the more that doors open to me. So as soon as you start, as you said before, you know, having to change and fit in to conform to what society is doing, you're not on the right path, and that's going to lead you down a path of darkness, and nobody wants darkness.
I hear that. I hear that. Amani, I have two more questions. Well, there's one from Twitterville, and there's one that I have personally. This person on Twitter, I am Divi Liberty, says, you know, how does Mr. Simpson plan on bringing about change in Jamaica and the wider Jamaica diaspora? So you've been a recipient, you're doing a lot of work, you're using your platform to assist youngsters, and you're trying to bring about this mental health conversation and the impacts. So what are you doing for JA and the wider Jamaica diaspora? In other words, what's next for you?
Wow, this is a great question, but I'm glad you're asking me on this platform, because then I can be held accountable and other people can be held accountable, right? I haven't been to Jamaica in 12 years. Last time I came was for my grandma's funeral, and I was a young man at that point. I hadn't gone on my journey. I hadn't been stabbed yet. So me coming back to Jamaica is as a man that has a purpose, that's there to do something. So I said to the High Commissioner in London, you know, I'd love to come over to Jamaica and do work, to look at doing a school tour. But fundamentally, yeah, I can come and tell my story, but I want to listen to your stories, because as you just heard just now when I was talking, I've only got my perspective. I don't know how to help you without listening to what your perspective is. I don't know what I need to do. So I can come over there and do the same things that I'm doing in the UK and make lots of noise, but if I'm not having impact, the noise don't make sense. So I just want to come out and I want to listen. I want to fall in love with my country again. I haven't been to Jamaica as an adult where I've had my own independence. You know, I'm sure my wife wouldn't mind coming out to Jamaica as well. So taking her out to Jamaica would be a good experience. But fundamentally, you know that, you don't have to put that in there, innit? But fundamentally,
right.
I just want to come and listen and learn, because it's my mother country. My family came to England for a better future, and they've been able to, I say better future, they for opportunities. They were bamboozled at times to come to the UK and come and help build up this country. And they came and they dealt with a lot of madness and a lot of bad mind people over here. And luckily we're here and we're able to have a seat at the table, and I'm blessed to be in the position that I'm in today. But I've always had it on my vision board from about 18 that I want to do something in Blackwoods, Clarendon. That was my small vision. Little did I know I'd be sitting here talking on big national platforms about my story. Who knew but God? So as I said, fundamentally, just invite me over there. And when I come, I'm going to listen. I'm definitely going to hit a couple dances, because, you know, you can't come to Jamaica and not enjoy yourself, right? Have some jerk chicken, just get involved in the culture. But fundamentally, I just want to come and listen, and just listen to young people, man. That's what I'm here for.
So that was my question to him as a storyteller as well, including those persons within those communities as we spread the message about our youngsters, our youth, and what they need, especially in unprecedented times. So we're just trying to see if we can get him back. Just to close it out decently, you know, he did a great presentation. So we want to tell him thank you and goodbye in true Jamaican mannersly fashion. So let me see if I'm able to get him back.
I'm here.
All right, fantastic.
I'm here.
So I know you're hearing me. I can hear you. So let me see if we can see each other, you and I.
You gotta love Zoom,
and if
right?
I had known about, here we are. To God be the glory. To God be the glory.
Hey.
Me, is everything good? Are we in tune?
Getting there.
All right, am I muted? Let me see. It was such a great presentation, and we understand technical glitches happen all the time. We have these online meetings, we have these online conferences, and they're live, and so we expect these things to happen. So it's just patience. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
All right, fantastic. And thank you so very much. I see persons who are watching in the chat saying they get it, they understand. Thank you so very much for your, Amani, we didn't want you to drop off and say goodbye without us actually doing it in a very mannersable, as we would say. We're very mannersable people here in Jamaica. But my final question to you, just before you go, is I'm extremely passionate about not just youth, but citizens with disabilities. A lot of the time we have these conversations about youth and employability and inequities and inequality and poverty. And a lot of the time it's spoken about, it's spoken about youth, but it's in a bubble. A lot of the times we do not see stories, we do not hear the voices of youth from our deaf communities, blind communities, those who are paraplegics. They have different and mental disorders. We don't see enough youth leaders, and we don't see enough stories where they're part of it. That being said, do you have any plans of, involving and including more of those persons so that their stories are being heard? And is there anything you can recommend, even for us and our youth leaders here, in terms of including our communities with disabilities?
Yeah, that's a great question. The young people are not a monolith, similar to Black people. We're not monoliths, right? There's a complete kind of spectrum of perspective. So when I say I serve young people, I serve all young people, and I don't know that perspective of a young person that may have a disability, but I'm willing to listen. I think that's the most important thing. Being in a position where I can listen and have the influence or platform to amplify that story, that's just part of the purpose that I've been given. So short answer is yes. I don't know what that looks like yet, because, I'm only just doing what I need to do. And I'm sure God would align that he thinks I should be telling their stories or amplifying their stories, shall I say. So yeah, I'm open completely. And I think when it comes to you guys in Jamaica, fundamentally, what I've seen done really, really well over here is that you get ambassadors that look like the people you're trying to serve. So if you're a youth worker, you have someone within the community that has got a disability or is less able, I think is actually the technical term or the correct term. That you put them in
or differently abled.
Differently abled, exactly. You put them in a position of leadership where they're able to speak for themselves where possible, because I think that's the strongest thing. A lot of this is about role modeling. And one of the things that I would say about the UK, and maybe this is just because of the current structures that are in place, but there isn't a prejudice or anything like that. Young people from all different walks of life are able to speak on their behalf and share their stories and perspectives. So I'm hoping that the coming generation is able to do that within Jamaica, you know, I don't know enough. As I said, I don't know enough about what's happening over there and what's not happening. But I'm someone that likes to constructively challenge. So if I do, or when I do come over there, I'm more than happy to add value to conversations and policy where possible, you know.
I appreciate it. Amani Simpson, you have been so open, so honest, so transparent. You are very inspirational. And I think a lot of persons will relate to your story of going one way, but somehow finding yourself, navigating, and know what you're doing is you're using your voice and your platform to pull other persons along with you. And I think that is something that is truly commendable. And I'm sure everyone has said it in the chat, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Zoom, in VFairs. They said, great presentation. And I certainly look forward to welcoming you and your wife to the shores of Jamaica. And we are going to put you to work. Okay, sir?
Whoa, I don't know if I should agree to that on this platform, but no, joking. I'm down.
No, thank you. Thank you
Thank
you for your time. Thank you for your presentation. Go right ahead. Go right ahead.
All I would encourage and ask of everybody that's on this platform right now is that I'm one person out of billions of people, right? My story may be inspirational right now, but your story is equally as inspirational when you get to where you're meant to be going. And when you're in that position where you're in that place of purpose, or, you know, you're in your lane, just leave the ladder down, help somebody else. This is each one teach one type.
You're muted. I think you.
They mute me. They said you have to come off now.
No, go right. No, go. No, you're fine. No, we can hear you.
All right. Yeah, I was saying that basically this is each one teach one. If I've said something today that has encouraged you, please pay it forward. Please help somebody else. Even smiling at someone in the street, you don't know if you may be the only person that day that smiled at them or noticed them. So it's important just to walk through life and try and notice people, try and be kind, try and love on each other. That's the only way we're going to move forward as a collective human race. So yeah, God bless, and thank you for having me, and great hosting as well. It was great questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, our youngsters, whether you are 11 years old, 31, or like myself, you're a little bit older than 31. Thank you so very much. I do agree with you. I concur that was just a fantastic, very easy conversation. But he dropped a lot of gems and a lot of nuggets. But again, what he's saying is that is his story. Your story is just as important. And what he also is reminding us is that you are not your circumstances. You are more. You are made for more, but you have to start thinking that you can be more. And certainly we are all excellence untapped. I cannot wait to hear more about what he's going to be doing. And I will keep an eye on him. Of course, we encourage you to visit his social media pages, get in contact and see how you can reach out and possibly add value to him as well, to strengthen what he is trying to do, not only for the diaspora, but for Jamaica and the youth all around the world. So Amani Simpson, thank you so very much. And we are going to run straight into, because we went over our time, but we had to do this because this was a fantastic conversation. But we have this fantastic song for those of you who may not be familiar with the I Believe initiative. We do have the I Believe song that I think is an absolutely beautiful song that speaks about the possibilities that are possible if you just simply believe. We also have our UN video. So watch this.
Along with all our problems, I believe. And despite the crime and violence,
Hi, I'm Charmaine Blair Stewart. I'm a farmer on the PJ Agro Park in St. Thomas. I am a cassava planter. I have seasonal crop of onion, Irish potato, sweet potatoes, and pumpkin.
Since the onset of COVID-19, many female farmers like Charmaine have limited or no access to their usual markets. Many have lost produce valued at thousands of dollars needed to support their families.
The challenge that I face mostly is lack of storage facility. I harvested 23,000 pounds of Irish potato. And of that 23,000 pounds, I sold 3,131 pounds. Other farmers across the country need to market their produce. The produce suffered.
Through the purchase of locally grown produce, the project will create a secure market for rural female farmers while meeting the food and nutrition demands of vulnerable families. These families will receive food care packages that will include locally grown fruits and vegetables. By supporting local supply chains, we are supporting livelihoods, reducing food and nutrition insecurity, and enhancing Jamaica's agricultural response and recovery to COVID-19.
I want to hear from you guys. How do you think human rights and quality education really intersect? And what do you think are some of the opportunities for young people to meaningfully engage right there?
If we do not get educated to the extent that we're aware of what we're entitled to, then it becomes a situation where we're not prepared enough to execute those rights, so to speak. So then where quality education comes in for me, and it goes back to me talking about the whole thing of it being preparing us for life in general and not just specific disciplines, is it should allow us to encounter or engage with our human rights, the various rights that are laid out in the Charter.
I believe in our education system as well. There are a lot of stigma as regards to being bright and dunce based off of your education institution that you attend, based off of the class or stream that you're in and so on. So where quality education comes in is informing us students about our rights so that we can then go on to champion social programs and so on to ensure that everyone, regardless of your educational institution that you attend, is aware of their rights and can express themselves in an academic sense and pursue their interests.
I think a part of quality education is that you get the exposure to not just formal education, but informal education, especially interpersonal skills.
We need to tell the stories of those schools that are transforming the lives of their students and the families of those students so that more schools will see that it's possible in their context. It's no good to bring examples from other countries and say, see what they're doing in New York and what they're doing in Finland and what it's good to learn, but you also have to see what is possible in your own context.
Hello, my name is Trevor Monroe, and I'm Executive Director of National Integrity Action. NIA was established in December 2011 as a not-for-profit with funding support from international partners and concerned Jamaican businesses, with one purpose and one purpose only: to combat corruption in Jamaica entirely on a non-partisan basis. Corruption is a serious issue in our country. Contributing too much money, which should go to government to provide services for the people, is being lost to corruption. This results in us having to borrow more and more. Till today, we're among the highest taxed people in the world. And what do we have to show for it? No economic growth, no prosperity amongst our people, yet we are having, as we speak, to pay back that debt we have borrowed with taxes which we can hardly bear at the present time. Do you know that some 80% of Jamaicans and many foreigners believe that too many public officials and politicians in our country are corrupt? I have no proof of this or no evidence of it, but what I do know is that we need the laws and we need the determination to bring the corrupt to justice. Transparency and accountability in government is a must. How many of us have heard of bribery cases where the honest investor turns back and a not so honest investor with less competence gets the job, and we, the people of Jamaica, pay the price? We are losing and need to collect billions of dollars owed in taxes by large companies and by well-off professionals. Every year, up until recently, tax waivers are being granted with inadequate reason, very often to those who make big contributions to elections and to political parties. And you and I know, he who pays the piper calls the tune. There must be punishment for corrupt public officials and for those in the private sector who collaborate in corruption. Helping Jamaica achieve this task is a major objective of National Integrity Action. But we cannot do it alone. We need your support, we need your help for NIA to achieve this purpose. Since our launch in December 2011, NIA has made considerable strides and achievements. I list the major ones for you. NIA played a central role in the Parliament adopting recommendations to put limits on how much money can be given by an individual donor to a party or to a candidate. In the Parliament adopting recommendations to ban organizations like Olint or David Smith from giving money to political parties and candidates. NIA played a significant role in 6 big private sector companies agreeing to disclose how much money they gave to the parties in the 2011 general elections, a first for Jamaica. An important role in the Electoral Commission of Jamaica, publishing the names of over 60 election candidates who broke the election laws by not making election returns. NIA is playing a central role in the government working to establish a single anti-corruption commission, of course, with important safeguards. Held earlier in 2012. Building public awareness against the evils of tax evasion and earlier of garrison communities. An important role in the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, publishing their annual reports online. NIA is also committed to exposing through advertising the corruption realities we face as a nation. Maybe some of you have seen our commercials, which I'm happy to say have contributed to raising levels of public awareness and public understanding of the evils of corruption. I want to show you some of these ads again.
Yes, sir. I will find out, sir. I think you're going to win the next election. I just need to know how I'm going to benefit.
See the Chris SUV there? I might get all of the government big contract them.
Them have to give him. I him support them big time.
Not no left away. That to stop. Jamaica no for run, sir.
The publicly show how much them give and stop the corruption.
For real.
End secret campaign financing now. Build integrity.
Sponsored by the National Integrity Action Limited.
Mommy, please, no, mommy, please, no. Mommy, I have no choice, baby. No, mommy, no.
Intimidation and abuse.
You can't pass yourself. Go back that way then now.
No freedom of movement. This is no way to live. Dismantle garrison politics now. Build integrity.
Sponsored by the National Integrity Action Limited and
Pay your taxes so we can have a better education system.
Pay your taxes so we can have better health care.
Pay your taxes so we can be better equipped to protect your life and property.
Pay your taxes so we can get help
and cut poverty.
Build integrity, end tax evasion, and develop Jamaica.
Sponsored by National Integrity Action.
The realities shown in those ads have to be dealt with more effectively. National Integrity Action alone cannot do it. We need your help. We need you to volunteer your services. Please pick up a kit and you determine how you can help. Together, we can build integrity in Jamaica. Together, we can reduce the levels of corruption. Together, we can heighten development for each and every one of our citizens.
Having such a fantastic morning, haven't we? Now, if you're just joining us, you missed out big time. You would have just missed a fantastic conversation and presentation by Mr. Amani Simpson, youth advocate all the way in the UK. But don't worry, it's going to get better. So just get comfortable, because we know we'll enter our next keynote presentation, and it will be done with Mr. Dushyant Savadia, CEO and founder of Amber Group. But before we get into that discussion, watch this.
What began as a noble cause, using passion, purpose, and profit to do good in the world, set ablaze a path for tremendous growth. With humble beginnings from a 600 square foot apartment in Kingston, Jamaica, the Amber Group has soared into a global technology conglomerate with 10 business lines serving customers in 30 countries, all in 6 years. The unwavering commitment to excellence, innovation, and purpose started with the AI-powered vehicle security, fleet management, and telematics solutions that keep assets, people, and borders safe while optimizing business efficiency. This is Amber Connect. First in the world to create artificial intelligence in vehicle tracking, integrated voice assistance, QR code-based driver recognition, Fleet 2.0 with various packages to suit the fleet needs, and now piloting the innovative pay-by-car technology where your car becomes your payment card. Global enterprise software development, the heartbeat of Amber, emerged 1 year later and is powered by highly skilled coders and developers who have created over 400 applications in the last 6 years. This is Amber Innovation Limited. Innovative application and business support with resource as a service, cloud as a service, and security as a service, driving the group's other business lines. Amber Pay continues the innovation powering applications that go beyond payments. In 5 years, we have developed innovative payment platforms serving local, regional, and international banks and fintech solution providers. The Amber Pay app, multiple ways for merchants to collect payments and better interact with their customers. Amber E-Link, enabling small businesses to send a payment link via digital media. Amber E-Store, where merchants can set up their e-commerce store within minutes without a software developer. And now, in partnership with MasterCard, Amber Tap will replace the point-of-sale machine with your smartphone. We are also securing our footprints in the digital world with Amber Cyber Eye, offering third-party services to our clients to protect their systems. Security assessments, penetrations, testing with Caribbean first real-time 24-hour cyber threat intelligence monitoring unit. As we continue to power the future, Amber Fuel will revolutionize the gas station forecourt experience. A partnership with the GB Texaco that includes a fleet management cardless, cashless fueling system with RFID-based technology to pair with your app and payment method. Amber Aviation, enhancing the aviation industry in Jamaica with a brand new product for locals and visitors to experience open cockpit, Ultralight plane and private jet share aviation services, which makes private jet flying economical and affordable for many. The Amber Group, pioneering innovation.
I don't know about you, but watching that video got me like very excited, very inspired. We're looking at how we can leverage technology. How do we create it? How do we use it to do good? Which is the perfect segue for our next presentation, but it will be done in an interview style. And the theme or the topic is technological justice, rethinking and nurturing technological innovations that have social value and are environmentally sustainable, which aligns with the SDG goals. If you go back, you'll find climate action, and you'll also look at the various impacts on socialization. So let us talk about it. Let us get into it. And here to speak with us, I'm so pleasured and so privileged to be on the stage with him, Mr. Dushyant Savadia, CEO and founder of the Amber Group. And he's not just a CEO, you know, he's a technology disruptor, a humanitarian, a global entrepreneur, and an advocate for social change, which made him the perfect person to take on a topic such as this: technology, SDGs, and everything in between. Mr. Savadia, welcome.
Very good morning, Kerry. How are you?
I am well, thank you. New theme, YCC, we're building resilience to the path to recovery to and for and with Jamaican youth. And technology has been a huge part of this. Before we get into our conversation, just so that other persons can get a better idea of you, you know, was this your big plan as a youngster? You know, we're all asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? You know, did you say, I want to take over the world, do social good by using technology?
Well, sorry. I think the way life spanned out for me was quite different. I was, in my youth, was an alcoholic. I used to drink a liter of rum every night for almost 5-6 years. I used to smoke 50 to 60 cigarettes a day, a very angry, violent person by nature. At the age of 19, my parents kicked me out of the house because they just couldn't sort me out. They tried to put me into rehab. I went into drugs, and they just didn't know what else to do. At the age of 19, I used to live in India at that time. I was born in India, and they kicked me out of the house at the age of 19. And I arrived in the capital of India, which is New Delhi, and came off the train station with about $50 US in my pocket, roughly Indian currency, and looked around and said, where do I go from here?
What am I going to do?
What do I do from here? And of course, I knew the money I have in my pocket is not going to last for more than a few days. And my first immediate reaction was, okay, now I'm on my own. And now I need to build my life. And I was very apologetic, and my brains woke up that, you know, I've really embarrassed my family. I've embarrassed my society I lived in. I embarrassed my country in many ways also by not being a good citizen. And I realized, okay, this is it. I need to build my way up. So I started working as a waiter in a restaurant for almost 3 months, serving dishes left, right, and center, because I needed food to eat and some place to sleep. And I still remember the owner of the restaurant. One day I dropped a glass from my hand and it fell down and it broke. And he came and gave me a tight slap on my face.
Really?
And he said to me that, do you know how many generations of my family has worked to build this restaurant? And you being so careless, and I was careless listening to music, and that was the day I realized the value of money, value of businesses, and I started my true career from that day. And in short space of time, I went into becoming a call center agent.
Yes.
Then I worked for some very large companies. Eventually, by 1999, I was heading a substantially large corporate in India for training and development. And that is when I was introduced to the Art of Living Foundation, which is one of the world's largest nonprofit organization. And I did this happiness program for 4 days, which taught me meditations, breathing exercises, and all of a sudden I felt a different person. And all of a sudden I realized life is a lot more than just making money and running a successful business or being a great employee for another business. Life is to give back. Life is to do more for the society. And I today stand firm and say that I think we've misunderstood why businesses should be there.
Yes.
The purpose of commerce, purpose of business is not just to
Make a
fulfill
profit.
a need of being profitable, fulfill a need of being the best. It's also taking responsibility for the society. It's also ensuring that your businesses are able to contribute, whether through technology or talent.
Correct.
Whatever you're producing for the society or giving to the society is actually making a meaningful difference in the growth of our society. Now we turn around and say anything that is a social responsibility, it is government's
yes.
responsibility.
It's not our
I
responsibility.
agree to that to some extent, but not fully, because the government can only do so much. It is the corporate responsibility, it's the social responsibility of every individual with talent or as a business to do more to change the society, whether it is the educational sector, whether it is the health or name it, any industry, agriculture, or name it. Everywhere, as corporate citizens, our responsibility becomes to diversify and do more. And this is where we come back to today's topic.
Yes.
Technological justice.
Yes. Well, and I'm now going to, and first of all, I think I appreciate your openness, because a lot of the times our youth are looking on and they see these amazing persons. We read about you in the newspaper, we may see you on the news, and we just think they just got there. But I think it's always so important to hear where you are coming from, so that it inspires and motivates others, saying, well, that is me, or maybe that was my thinking, but if I stay on this path, or if I change mindset, or who my friends are, maybe I could get to that place as well. So I thank you so very much.
Just to
for
add
that.
there quickly, Kikari, from 2001 till 2015, I was serving a humanitarian organization, traveled around the world, taught stress management courses. Even in Jamaica, I came to Jamaica in 2012. And for the first 3 years, I was teaching stress management and rehabilitation program in the prisons. I taught nearly 3,000 inmates in the prisons in Jamaica to overcome their violence tendencies and
conflict
take
resolution.
more responsibility for themselves. Early 2015, and you made a good point, everybody looks from outside and think, look at this progress of this company, and look at how well they're doing, and look at this guy, and such nicely dressed all the time and driving a
Woke
great
up like that.
It's not easy. And I can tell you, 2015, January 2nd, I will never forget that day. I was completely broke. I had no food in my fridge. I had no gas in my car, no rent to pay, and no fuel that I could pay to purchase and drive around also. This was January 2nd, 2015, 6 years ago from now. And that was the day I realized that as a humanitarian, charity cannot happen from an empty bowl. You need money.
Oh, wow. Can you just repeat that one more time? Can you just repeat that one more time?
Charity cannot happen from an empty bowl.
All right.
You need money. You need finance to be successful in running your entrepreneurship or running a humanitarian organization also. And that is the day I decided that rather than going for sponsorships and so on, why don't I build businesses? Create businesses that can create a sustainable funding mechanics for doing my charitable passion that I have for Jamaica. And since then, we've been grown at a lightning speed. We started with Amber Connect in a 600 square feet little room.
I can't even picture 600 feet. And how many people?
Just me alone in my living room in my little apartment, with only boiled rice and boiled potatoes for a month because I didn't have money to buy food, till a friend of mine sent a big box of grains. I sat down only thinking one thing: what can I build? How can I build something that not only solves certain pain points in the society, but at the same time creates or generates enough profit that I can give back and build more.
Continue the sustainability and the cycle.
And that is how the Amber Group started in 2015. It was not of any intent to become this big billionaire and become this big capitalist company. it was built on a single purpose, a single motive to do good for our society, for this land where I breathe and I eat food from.
Wow, and that seed has watered, and now we've seen so many different branches. So we're now talking about technological justice. And for many of us, we might have heard the term justice, and maybe we heard the term technological, but maybe not together, not paired. So for our youngsters, for any of our viewers who might be watching, what is it?
Let's understand this term first of all. What is technological justice? Technological justice, right? Why did we bring the word justice with technology? And I thank, I believe, to come up with this topic and think about putting some attention to this particular topic of technological justice. If you define justice by itself, if you define technological justice, it simply to me means how do we prevent creating any gaps and deficits, and we make technology available to everyone and anyone, without any barriers of classes or barriers of race or barriers of eliteness versus poverty. Technology is everybody's birthright.
It's a right.
It is everybody's need. And I believe, like food, water, and shelter, technology in the modern world is also taking the same shape to run our day-to-day chores, run our day-to-day businesses, run everything. So as entrepreneurs, as technological-minded people, what we need to think about, one, what technology are we willing to produce? Jamaica has long known to be a consumer of technology, not a producer.
Correct.
Amber has changed that. If you look at the products that we built, they're sold in 30 countries across the world. And why is it Amber decided to build all these technological products and export it around the world? Is again to bring this technological justice. That also means we make things affordable for everyone. We make things simpler that anybody can understand, anybody can utilize, and it fits into your day-to-day need. I'll share with you a good example, Kerry, that once back in 2015, when we first launched Amber Connect, which is our vehicle tracking and vehicle security product.
I remember when it launched.
Great. We built a beautiful device. I went to China, stayed in a little room for 3 months and learned the entire business, came back, and I built my own software. And when we first built it, Kerry, we launched it, we had about 200, 300 customers in Jamaica, brand new company. And I, like many entrepreneurs, I also didn't have any associations.
Right, no links, as we say in Jamaica, no links.
Yeah, what do we say here? Who knows who kind of a thing who can give you some recommendations. I didn't have that. So I had to go plow the road myself and kind of do everything myself those days. But when we first launched, and I'm sharing this because technology injustice will stop when entrepreneurs like us continue to innovate and continue the journey of making it more affordable and making it easier to be accessible by everybody. Only then this injustice will stop, right? So when I started this business, we built it, great. You can see your app and you can see the vehicle moving in real time. You can do everything. But one morning at about 9 a.m., a gentleman came to my office, very sad, upset. And he came in, and that time my office was also like 200 square feet.
Tiny
little office. We had 2 staff there. And middle of the night, if somebody would call for customer support, we would pretend to be a big company and say,
customer service, how may I help you?
And this is me, by the way. No, it was actually another colleague of mine. We shared the apartment together, and she would pick up the call and say, "Good evening, Amber Connect, may I assist you?" And then say, "Can I speak to your technical support?" And this is 1 o'clock at night. And this,
put it over to
this
you.
friend of mine will come, knock my door. Dashan, there is a customer service issue. And I will take the phone, and while it's on music, and say, "Good evening, Amber Connect technical support, can I help you?" And this is the journey I have gone through. And I'm like everybody in Jamaica who's faced the same challenges of getting funding, same challenges of non-believer, same investor issues when you take it to an investor. No, man, this is not going to work.
Yeah.
Or yes, it will work, but we will buy you out at peanuts.
Yes.
Or you have to step down as a CEO and let us run the business. But that morning, I will never forget, which is what created this mindset in me, why I'm sharing this story with all of you today. A gentleman walks in and says, Dashant, well, he didn't know my name, he walks in and says, I lost my car. And I got terrified because we built this fantastic technology that if the car starts or something happens, you get a notification. And man said, boss, I was just too tired, I slept off. Your app did what it was supposed to do. It notified me when the car started, when the device was disconnected, and it sent me alerts that the vehicle was speeding at a particular speed. It gave me an alert that it left my home location. It gave me all the alerts. I just wanted to let you guys know that your system works. He came to praise me, although the car was stolen, and he was upset about it. But that brought another shift in how I thought I need to conduct my technology arm. I realized one thing, that I need to innovate more.
Yes.
Just by creating an application which produces the data wasn't enough. I didn't sleep for 2 nights, just thinking, how do I mitigate this risk? Because people are going to lose their car when they're sleeping.
Correct.
Or
they'll see the data, but it wouldn't necessarily
help
anything.
So over the next 2 days, I thought and thought and thought, and I drew up my whiteboard and what logic can we put? What algorithms can we build? What can we do to mitigate this risk? And then the light bulb came. And I decided to build something what we know as Amber Shield, and has protected close to 600,000 real-time theft of vehicles across the world already in 30 countries. So what I did, I said, hang on a second, how can we teach our cars to become independent of the owner to protect itself? So I sometimes say that we taught our cars how to do Kung Fu.
Yeah.
So what happens now, we built a feature called Amber Shield, which is available to all our customers, fleet or individual vehicles. As soon as you reach home, imagine this technology, Kerry, and this is just one of our business lines out of 9. I'm talking about true, genuine innovation. Imagine you drive home, switch off your engine, close the door and go inside your building, and the car knows you're home and switches on the artificial intelligence to recognize Kerry's home. She's not going to leave anymore because it's 9 o'clock at night, and switches on something called Amber Shield, or rather arms itself. When it arms itself, if anybody opens the door of the vehicle while it is armed, or turns on the ignition, or breaks through the windscreen, it will immediately blow the horn, flash the light, shut down the engine, immobilize the engine so the engine won't start, and also inform our 24-hour command center that this vehicle is under active threat.
And how long did it take for you to code it? I mean, it's one thing to conceptualize and to ideate, but how long did it take for you in your little 200, your little 2x2 to say, okay, let us get on this now?
I did have about 8 or 9 developers at that time in India, working from there to build the app. And I think we built it in about a month's time and launched it. And then we gave it away for free for a very long time to see how it picks up. And it's amazing that there's so many users using this feature now, because you don't have to worry about your car when you're sleeping. So I'm sharing this experiences because where I would like our youths, our
entrepreneurs or budding
is to continue to innovate. We also worry about IP theft.
Yes.
Oh, I've built something, but what if somebody else steals my idea? I can tell you, my friends, be ready. Somebody is going to copy what you're going to do or what you have done and do it in a different way. So it's not an infringement, but they are free to do so. But where we will succeed, where nobody can catch us, is when we continue to innovate. And over the last 6 years of Amber Connect alone, we've now built more than 6 years. It's unthinkable. So this is where the technology mindset has to change.
Right.
Kerry, to me, It's all about think ahead, think
Right.
about the next 5 years, think about the next 3 years.
No, you said something earlier, and I've heard it a lot, that we are huge consumers of technology, that we are not necessarily the creators. We spend a lot of money, we use some of us have 3, 4 phones. We're very, very good. We know how to handle it. We know how to share information, to disseminate. What do you think we have to do? And is it an educational, a lack in terms of, the educational system? What do we need to do to start nurturing that talent from early, to be more creators rather than consumers? And there's nothing wrong with being consumers, because that's how you learn. You come into contact with things, you figure out, but this could be improved, or I could do this. But how do we move from accepting information, going out into the world, serving as an employee, rather than saying, how can I serve my country and even the world through technology? How do we get that mindset shift?
You mentioned a very good point about becoming the education side of it. And I'm so pleased to inform you today that over the last 8 months, we rolled out the Amber Heart Academy, which is currently training 100 youths full-time on a residential course at the Stony Hill campus of Heart, a full 1-year coding training program with guaranteed jobs at the end of the 1 year with the Amber Group.
No, that is fantastic.
For me, we need to build an army of coders in Jamaica. If you look at Jamaica, we've been established market for tourism, fantastic. We've got that niche, great.
We've locked it. We can do that with our eyes closed.
Coffee, there's only how much we can grow. Bauxite, we can only how much we can mine. Call centers, great, but it's only how much it can expand. And also, I'm a little fearful because you have voice bots and chat bots, and they're becoming so prevalent so fast.
Correct.
If you can imagine the entire Amber Connect business with hundreds and thousands of users, we have only 4 support staff in the back end. Most of the job is done by the bot itself.
Artificial.
So you can chat and the bot responds and it does everything. So where is the future of this use? And I think it rests in technology.
Yes.
There is one field that is growing in demand by leaps and bounds on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, is software development.
Yes.
It's technology enhancement, technology development, whether you call it cloud, whether you call it cybersecurity, whether you call it development of software, development of applications. It is business intelligence, data analytics, data warehouse. That is where the world is going. And you know that the pandemic has pushed us all to think out of brick and mortar, to think out of our daily way of handling things and go as digital as fast as possible to continue to make money.
Yes.
Now, if that has become the digital requirement of the global need, then why should Jamaica stand behind and not catch up to that race? That is why we built the Amber Heart Academy, the coding academy for youths at no cost. Heart takes care of their accommodation and food, and we take care of their education, the laptops, the entire academic 1-year training.
That's fantastic. No, I know I don't even have to look, but I know because we have persons watching via YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Zoom, VFairs. I know that there are going to be youngsters saying, is this by application? Do they go to your Amber website? How do persons get more information?
They just need to get in touch with Heart, and their lines are open.
Fantastic.
We also bring in coding in schools now, which will be announced in a short space of time. You guys are the first one to hear. But imagine, my dream is, imagine from grade 1 to grade 13, if every single child grew up with the knowledge of coding, which brings them logical thinking skills, which brings them problem solving skills, it brings them creativity, it brings them challenges.
And I'll tell you why that's important, because, and going back to the Sustainable Development Goals, it is the reduction of inequality and the inequity. And so what we do find is that, of course, you have children who are getting access to chess, which is another game, that they say, helps you with problem solving. And you have a lot of children who are getting access to coding, but usually what you do is you find those within the prep schools. It's usually the parents who have the ability, the power, the economic power to have that accessible. So if we could actually allow coding to be accessible to students in primary schools and in communities where honestly their parents could not possibly afford one day of coding, much less, then that would be a game changer.
And also remember, Kekeri, when they pass out at grade 13, okay? And we also know, and it is a fact in Jamaica, that a lot of our youths, because of economic reasons, they have to go into a very early employment.
Correct.
And then they land up with jobs that they really do not want in their life, but they don't
But they
have
have to accept it, correct.
Right? And I'll give you a good story. A couple of weekends ago, I was at Ochorio's area at a resort, just for a weekend break on our lovely beaches.
Yeah.
And I met this beach boy who was serving and putting the towels and on the bench. And I got chatting with him. How are you doing? And I'm like that. I love connecting with people.
Yeah.
Because I believe everybody you talk to, you learn a little more. And this is one of the key things that I would suggest to all the youths here listening. Listen, the nature, the environment, people around you are teaching you all the time.
Yes.
Listen, don't be in a hurry to speak unless you're on the show. So I met this youth who was doing the B-stall, and I got talking to him, and I was watching one of the aviation videos that we just launched, Amber Aviation in Jamaica, that would fly ultralights for tourists and locals, and that also will bring a new economy of pilots and mechanics and ground staff and
ecosystem,
so on.
an entire
Big ecosystem by itself, because I want aviation to be also known in Jamaica very well. And part of my business adventure, and also remember, everything we do, it's also connecting and uplifting Jamaica. Whatever we do, every single business is to contribute to the overall growth of the country.
Elevation, correct.
Elevation. So when I met this youth, he just saw me seeing this video and said, "Sir, you are an aviation enthusiast, look like." I said, "Yes, we are launching this in Boscobel shortly, and we're starting Amber Aviation, which will have microlights and jets and for tourists and locals." And then he had tears in his eyes, and I'm not lying. He said, "I finished my ground schooling to become a pilot, and my mother passed away."
Oh no.
And because my mother passed away, my only source who was paying for my education left. She's finished ground schooling, but he couldn't go any further.
So literally he's grounded.
He's grounded. And he had no choice, and the pandemic hit, and he went to become a beach boy instead. These are the stories that we have in Jamaica. There's talent, there is skill, there is passion. This country is not short of talent. This country is not short of very brainy youths who really are an inspiration to me also. When I looked into his eyes and he said, "You're going to become my first pilot. We're bringing him on board, sending him to finish his pilot training. He will be a pilot in Amber Aviation." And this is what we are here for. And as businesses, we have to continue thinking about it. If not, what we prefer.
Yes.
Why did I start a whole Amber Coding Academy? Because we are a software development company.
Correct.
We build software. If you pay for your electricity on your JPS app, that was built by us. So if you look at the amount of software we've developed for so many companies in Jamaica and globally, we need a strong force of coders ourselves. So for me, not only that it is going to serve Jamaica's economy to come 3 class up.
Yes.
Because software developers are paid high.
They have to be. Right? The demand is high.
Correct. The demand is high. The salaries are high. And imagine if we as Amber in the next 10 years could bring a fleet of 100, 200,000 developers out of Jamaica. Companies across the world will choose to create their base in Jamaica.
Correct.
And that is the vision. How do we bring Microsoft? How do we bring Apple to set up their infrastructure of software development?
Because we have a valley. Because we have
because we build a Caribbean Silicon Valley in Jamaica.
Let me ask you this: we can't speak about innovation or we can't continue to speak of innovation and doing good and social good and elevating for not just citizens and communities in the world without speaking about inclusion. It's a huge thing for me. Like, it's so big for me. And I find that with technology and leveraging technology, we can now bring in persons who traditionally would not be represented, in the space. What are your views in terms of, even as Amber increases, and I don't know, what the staff complement is, but as it increases, how do we shine the spotlight also on youth who may be paraplegic or maybe deaf? Or how do we now create software in a country where our deaf communities don't have software available where they can walk anywhere without an interpreter present and be able to have another business attend to them as clients and customers? How do we bring them into the conversation?
Kerry, this is a very good question, by the way, and hats off that we have people in our society like yourself who are thinking about this sort of an inclusion.
Thank you.
And to answer your first question, we have a staff complement of 400 staff now across the world, and this is just in 6 years. Remember, we're still
in a 600,
from a 600 to yeah. But again, we're a technological company. We make technology drive 80% of our business.
Right.
20% of our business is driven by humans like us. I'm a human as well. So I think, Kerry, the bottom line is, when we talk about inclusion, and you mentioned about how do we deal with deaf and blind. For the blind, there are voice speeches that are now becoming very
popular.
Prevalent. In fact, if you log on to Microsoft or Apple or your phone, it all can speak back.
Correct.
For example.
And they have these little accessible icons that you can press.
Correct. So even as a society, as we grow, whether there's a government application or a private application, all applications must cater to it. Second, we also have people who are partially blind or who can see very less or have eyesight issues. That is why you see all the world-class solutions will also allow you to make the text bigger within their own application. Again, all of this shows as a company how much you care about the inclusion of other sections of our community who are in need of these additional services in the technology itself. This is how it goes, and I'm not sure if at this point of time, for those who are blind, we've been working on it in the back end. You will see now we've integrated Amber Connect, for example, to Alexa.
Great.
And we thought it through, because end of the day, voice assistants for those who cannot see but can hear.
Yes.
Voice assistants are becoming the way. I can talk to Siri, or I can talk to Google, or I can talk to Samsung Bixby and give commands to make a call. I don't have to see my phone anymore. But when it comes to the other applications of day-to-day use, whether it is I'm going to pay my tax, I'm going to do this, how can we include this technological inclusion for every section of the society, including going into voice assistants?
Yes.
In fact, we're helping another very big company here which transacts on a daily basis with a lot of clients to go completely on voice.
Wow.
You can check your invoice, you can pay your bill, everything just through commands.
Well, that would be amazing for communities, and I thank you so very much. But I think it definitely needs to be something that we look at a lot more, because we tend to look at the persons who look like us, who are completely fine, but then there's always this gap that you say we should always be trying to fill. And I know if you have any questions, again, if you have any questions, Dushan Savadi will be here with us for a little while, and so make sure that you load your questions, regardless of whether you're watching, regardless of the social media platform, whether it's a VFairs platform. Let us know your questions. And so we're talking about this technological justice and how we move the needle for the students, for the youth who think that the problem you're going to solve has to be big, and that you need an army of people, you need all of this funding to get started. What do you say to them? Because sometimes a problem could be very, very simple, but we're looking at trying to be really big and trying to tackle on, take on so many different things. What is your advice to those persons?
I think when you're thinking too big and don't know where to start, I suggest go sit in front of a river and throw pebbles, one after another. You need to clear your mind. I think what we also forget that, yes, technology rat race is there and we need to build a business and we need to do this and that, but we should not forget that soft skills are equally important.
Yes.
Your ability to relax, your ability to be at ease with yourself is as critical, because if you're at ease, you will bring your environment into ease also. So from my perspective, as entrepreneurs, as technology people who are really out there to do some good and make a difference to the society, first step, you calm down. Be patient with yourself. Allow some room for yourself to make some mistakes. And listen, Kerry, if I can tell you, I've made the worst of the mistakes worst of the mistakes that I could have thought about. Bad decisions in the business and doing things that I, in hindsight, would never do.
And how do you bounce back? Because that's another thing. It's the fear. So you make the mistake, and there's a difference between persons who succeed as entrepreneurs because they make the mistake, they feel this thing, but they go, I've learned, let me move on. But many people feel this thing and then they go, I don't want to do this again. I don't want to feel this again. How do you bounce back?
This is where the question why starts. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this business? Why do you want to build technology? If it is only for a self-serving purpose, you will only grow this much.
Yes.
But when your business, your technology is focused on the society for the higher good of people and higher good of the nation, then I tell you, you will get the courage and strength. It doesn't matter how many times you fall, but it matters if you don't take an effort to get up.
Yes.
Get up. Because end of the day, look, where I faced so many criticisms as an entrepreneur, because when you grow fast, there are people who don't like you.
Yeah.
There are people who are going to talk and create rumors that don't exist.
Mischief.
And I hear it sometimes, and sometimes I see, I wonder how can I help them? Maybe teach them some more meditation of having a little more inclusiveness, because together we can do a lot more.
Absolutely.
Right? And Amber stands for that. We stand for doing good. And because our purpose is clear, if your business don't have a purpose, if the purpose is just let's make as much money as possible and let me be as rich as possible myself, then I tell you, you will grow, you will succeed, but there is only how much you will get. You'll make a lot of money, drive a good car, but you will not be able to attain that good sleep at night.
Yes.
Right? So to me, what is important that you define your purpose as a business. Your purpose is to create inclusion. Your purpose is to create solutions that solve people's problems. And if you're true to your purpose, nature will protect you and nature will take care of you. To me, we've gone through some big stuff also.
Yes.
But when we went through it, I said to my team the same thing. Don't worry. We stand for good and the good will protect you. The question you have to ask yourself, are you standing for good right now?
Yes.
And if that becomes the foundation of your
core.
business, the nature, God, whatever you believe in, will stand by you, protect you through your difficult times.
Ooh, I hope these people are saying preach, because listen, I can't see the chat from where I am sitting, but I know that you guys are going to give us a preach somewhere. I mean, I know I'm 2020, guys, but that monitor is very, very far from me. But listen, Trisha Greer on Zoom said that the discussion points that you're bringing reminds her of what the minister said yesterday. That would be the Honorable Robert Nestor Morgan, who said that the outcomes may not always be equitable. There may not be equity in all of the outcomes, but there must be equity in the opportunities that we offer persons. So she said, great point. So I have some questions here, and we're going to get through them very quickly because you guys, I know you want to have Dushan here for the entire time for your own selves. So a question here is from Jermaine McKenzie, watching via YouTube. What educational path, traditional or non-traditional, did Mr. Savadia journey on to support the dream he now lives? So you gave us a great idea in terms of you not really having anything, not really having any vision, any nothing for yourself. But at some point in time, you realized, I need to do better. So what educational path, traditional or non-traditional, did you go on in order to get you here?
I'm a bad role model in that sense. Look, I'll be frank. I don't have any degrees on my side. Like I said, I ran away. I just finished my graduation and that was it. So I'm not a very highly qualified academic path that I've had. But I can tell you one thing: when you're sincere,
yes,
in what you want to do, when you're sincere in what you want to contribute to the society, a portion of your brains just opens up.
Yes.
And it gives you the right ideas, it gives you the right advice, and you listen here. Not what comes from all sides, but listen here. It will tell you what to do. When we are distant from our own self and we don't listen to ourselves, that is when things go south. So I'm the founder and CEO, of course. I'm the man behind the vision. But no vision is complete without people supporting it.
Yes.
What I have is a fantastic, brilliant management team. Michael McNaughton, my managing director, Nigel Fenty, my group CFO, Denise Williams, my CCO. If you look at all these stars of Jamaica who joined Amber Group in the last 3 years, all of them are highly accomplished people. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm not perfect. I'm not. And I'm not as bright and smart. And I have so many gaps of my own that I can't fulfill. But I also know my limitations.
Yes.
You must recognize where and what you're not good at and bring those people as advisors, as support, as employees, or whatever you want to call them, your guardians around you, to fulfill the gaps that you can't do in the business. So you are not perfect. I can tell you right now, nobody can claim I'm good at my job. Then you must be God.
Yeah, somebody in the chat says powerful. Somebody said that is very, very true. This is great. What an opportunity. But I think what I appreciate most about this honesty is that I think a lot of us are tied down and we're crippled by a lot of the things that we think. So traditionally, we think if we don't have that degree, if we don't have that master's or that certificate or that PhD, then we'll never amount to anything, that no one will ever take us seriously or we can't create something. And yet still, you're sitting here saying, hey, you may not have all of those things, but you can still solve. You can still critically think. You can still serve in a very big way.
Exactly.
You can have that conversation with yourself. So I may not have gone to school for so and so, but let me align myself to somebody who has that expertise. And I think a lot of persons will be inspired that you can still achieve so much, not just for yourself, but for others, even if you don't have all of this paper that society tells you you must have. And I'm sure a lot of persons agree with that. Thank you.
I'll just share one more thing here. When I interview, I actually don't even read a CV because, and please don't take this as the way forward for you. I'm just speaking of myself.
Still do your CV, still get your
Please
CV
get
together.
Your CV, study that CV, make sure you've understood. But I think a little differently also. Kerry. Yes, I do see the CV that they've done some good work and what companies they work for and how long they worked for. Does it indicate loyalty to the businesses that they've served before, etc. But when I meet a person, what I'm looking for is not what degrees you've got. What I'm looking for is the attitude, your soft skills. Are you ready to learn? Can I coach you?
Are you trainable?
Are you trainable? Can you coach me? Because I'm bringing you into this position because I can't do it, right? And do you have the attitude to serve the higher good? Do you have the attitude to serve the society, or you're just here to do a 9-to-5 job, take your paycheck and rest? That's not the indication of the next generation of our society build up.
I hear that.
We will fail as a society if we continued with this approach. Our approach has to be, it's not a 9-to-5 job. It is my duty towards my nation. It is my duty towards my family, my society. Everybody who gets in touch with me should get a little more than what they have right now, whether it is through advice, whether it is through my skill, whether it is through my money, whether it is through my, even if I have one piece of bread left and there is somebody hungry in front of me, tear a little bit of it and give it to that man, then you are a true human, great citizen of this great nation.
I hear that. I hear that. You packed a lot of punch. You packed a lot of punch. I have 3 more questions to get through. Kyle NIA from Twitter, thank you for watching, says, the concept of technological justice is clearly new and not wholly understood. How do we ensure that awareness to technological justice and its values are heightened and employed across many scopes across the world? Well, we could be starting with Jamaica, but how do we now get persons, entities, corporate entities, private, public, to understand what this is, heighten the awareness so that it can now be implemented?
Sorry, what was the name again of the
Kyle.
Kyle, I appoint you as my leader for this. It's again easy to ask, what is the world going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Let's bring it back to us. What are we going to do about it? Right? What, as Kyle, am I going to do about this?
Mm-hmm.
I believe is a great platform. I think what we're discussing here is the first step to this journey.
Yes.
I applaud this event,
Yes.
and what you're trying to accomplish here is to bring about this knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So all of us have to become the drivers of this conversation ourselves. And everything, guys, as you know, starts with just a conversation. 2 people get together, exchange an idea, and all of a sudden it's a business.
Yes.
And you will see so many large enterprises globally have been born just out of a conversation. So this conversation has to be repeated,
mm-hmm.
has to be spoken more, and spoken individually. The word of mouth spreads a lot more faster. We all know that.
Yeah,
but
this is true.
Again, coming back to the technological injustice, what we want to make sure at the same time, that whatever we do going forward, make it eco-friendly,
mm-hmm.
make it sustainable,
Yes.
and make it accessible. Then you're not a part of that injustice. Then you're a part of that justice. Let's all of us lead by example.
Yes,
and spread the word.
And spread the word. I hear that. The last question for you is, what are your thoughts on access to technology and where does it need to grow? Thank you so very much, Jermaine. So what are your thoughts on technology now? We've established it's good, it's necessary, it can help to bridge the gap, it can help to leverage and put persons on leveling playing fields, but where does it still need to grow and go?
I think technology has to integrate into our daily life.
Mm-hmm.
Technology has to integrate with all our interactions with the society, whether you're paying your tax, whether you're paying for your education, whether you are buying things. ENDS 2.0, which is also something that Amber built.
Yes.
ENDS is a good example of how the government of Jamaica, and hats off to PSOJ,
mm-hmm.
who came up with this idea that how do we take, during curfew,
yes.
still drive the whole ecosystem of the food industry, right? And delivery industry. So we got approached, we built out the whole ENDS program. You can get approval for your company and
yes.
your drivers and your vehicles, and in no time, you're still selling even during curfew. So these are some excellent examples that Jamaica is thinking forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think what we also get into is a lot of negative mindset.
Yes.
And, you know, there is a saying that if I give you 10 compliments and give you 1 insult at the end,
I
you will
focus on
hold
the
on
one.
to that insult for the rest of your life, but never remember those 10 compliments I give you. And I think our entire society suffers the same issue, right? We have so much of good happening in Jamaica, so much of good. Look at how much technology advances the government has made, corporates have made, banks have made. But when we are always focused on the lack, when we are always focused on what we don't have, guess
we
what?
don't see the innovation.
The implementation of the innovation and execution of technology becomes difficult for all of us.
Correct.
Wake up and let's embrace what we have, be grateful for what we have. And I tell you, where we are now as a country, we have to be grateful, because where we are is an envy of millions of people across the world who will never even reach where Jamaica is right now.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you. On that note, listen, I mean, we came to speak about technological justice, but I think we spoke about so much more. We spoke about social impact. We spoke about even having those soft skills, that even as we speak about technological justice, it doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to code and you know how to develop and you know the technicalities, and then you lack on the attitude and being ready and open and ready to learn. So I think what you did was a master class. You did a master class on life, and I'm sure everyone who was watching truly appreciates this. And when we see Amber, the Amber Group, it won't just be a company that's just there, but we will understand the seed, the seedling, and how you watered it. And I think finally, before I say thank you officially, I will tell you that one of my closest friends the other day almost did not celebrate her birthday because she might have lost her son, who was in a car accident. And how they were able to get assistance to him was because the car had Amber Connect on it.
Wow.
And it was her app that showed that there was impact. It was the app that showed her where the impact took place. And because of that, they were able to now mobilize and to get help. And he was fine. He was actually fine. Good kid, never gets into trouble. But I just thought it was necessary to let you know that there's someone who I knew personally. And when I called her for her birthday, she said, T, if I told you what happened to us a couple days ago, I might not be celebrating my birthday because maybe my son would not have been here. But because of Amber Connect, she was able to get the need and to get the assistance to him as quickly as possible. And so I am that man who walked into your office, who never lose the care, thank God. But I am a person here just to say, keep up the very good work. Continue to use technology and leverage technology in a way that does social good, that makes people feel safe. And I wish you all the best. From coming from your little 600 square feet to now having 400 employees, it is inspirational. And I thank you for being very open and honest and not coming and giving people anecdotes, but being very real about what life is, how the cards can be dealt, and how you can take these cards and still deal it in the way that you need to deal it in. So again, I mean, this was Dushyant Savadia. I have no other words to say. CEO and founder of the Amber Group, congratulations on the expansion of that business. And we look forward to hearing more about your pilot. You know, I certainly hope that he does you proud and that he's able to now turn around and help somebody else. So we just wrapped our second and final keynote presentation. We spoke to Amani earlier on, and we just heard from Dushyant. And I really think that this is the perfect way to go and take a break. So you can go cool out, chill out, get something to eat, get something to drink. For those of you who have not registered, go ahead and get the real full interactive experience. We have the virtual exhibit hall, we have booths, we have prizes, surprises, we have giveaways, and we also have a scavenger hunt that you can participate in. But you can only get access to that if you register. So we will be back in a short while, but go relax, walk around, get away from your screen, and we'll be right back. All right. Thank you so very much for sticking and for staying with us. Thank you. That was amazing. That was amazing. Thank you so very much. What a story.